watching Dr. Dodd's Tech Headcanon.
Of course, his closing comments belied his opening comments that his was a minority position. In fact, a lot of people are quite apprehensive about the things that are coming up in the future. And I think largely it's a fear of change that motivates that. That basically we know what we were and we know how to live that way. We don't know what will become because of these things. As to the specific dangers of individual sort of terrorist use of these technologies, I'm sure Alfred Nobel had the same concern when he invented dynamite. And in fact, as Ted Kaczynski shows, people can use technologies to do ridiculous things. But on the other hand, the same technologies provide the means to basically build immune systems against these things. We do have dynamite completely widespread. Essentially, it does self-reproduce because the knowledge of how to make it is very widespread and can be passed from person to person through books, etc. So it's self-sustaining, and certainly anybody can make a fertilizer bomb. So we do have a number of isolated incidents, but then we have mechanisms that evolve in the social organization to counter them, exactly as an immune system evolved in biological organisms once pathogens evolved to eat them. I mean, when the first self-reproducing organisms appeared, it's without doubt that they didn't have an immune system, and they just grew and multiplied using the raw materials that were available. And then versions of them found that one of the best sources of raw materials were other things just like themselves, and began to eat them. And the next step, I mean, this happens in certain computer evolution situations as well. But anyway, so if we have a problem with genetically engineered diseases, and we don't really know whether it's as easy as that. In fact, the natural world is quite inventive and tries almost everything. And it's true that in the long run, pathogens kind of get milder because it really doesn't pay them to kill off their hosts. But in the short run, that's not true. A pathogen can just mutate and be incredibly virulent, and it happens all the time. So there are things coming out of the swine fields and out of the jungles, and killing lots of people. There are some extremely serious viral diseases around in the world. We have ways of dealing with them now that, in fact, did not exist at the time of the plagues. And we have an understanding because of the knowledge that's been accumulated. When genetic diseases are created, and frankly, at the moment, it's most likely that they'll be created in some military laboratory, in some relatively well-funded environment. The threat will appear. There may be a considerable damage. The world will mobilize against it if it feels itself threatened. And the resources of 1,000 times as many people as created the disease in the first place will be mobilized to find ways against it. I can hypothesize all kinds of alternatives, including basically nanotechnology can cancel out biotechnology, for instance, and robotics can evade both. So the bigger picture basically is that yes, we're changing, and unquote the space travel pioneer from the beginning of the 20th century, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, Earth is the cradle of mankind, but we can't live in the cradle forever. And he was talking in terms of simply moving out. Now we have more more possibilities. Basically, the number of possibilities open to us is increasing all the time. And we have to sort through these possibilities to decide what we're going to do with them and how we're going to apply them to ourselves. And some of the sorting, of course, isn't going to be done just by making rational decisions in advance. It's going to be done by a trial and error process. And indeed, I think because of issues that Bill Joy mentioned, that these technologies don't require special materials, they can be done on a small scale, the possibility of stopping them is essentially zero. The incentive, in fact, to keep developing them is tremendous because they provide enormous incremental advantages. So just making one process a tiny bit better in a competitive environment means that one company grows and at the expense of another company. And there was a situation that was very evident like this in the late 1980s when Japan especially was doing so well relative to the older industries in the United States. And there was a slogan that was invented that described basically what American companies had to do, and it was you either automate, emigrate, or evaporate. And that was pretty much the case. The old style industries just went away. You just couldn't afford to produce things, paying large numbers of people to do things that there were better ways, more inexpensive ways to do it by automation. So I think I'm sure the panel will come up with lots more interesting arguments on that line. So I'd just like to quickly go through what I was going to talk about, which is the robotics path, because I think at the moment it's the underdog in these technologies. And indeed, biotechnology is on the verge of big time. And nanotechnology, well, in small ways, it's already doing a lot. And Ray, essentially Ray has said everything I probably would have said, except that his favored scenario for the development of machine intelligence is different than mine. He looks to reverse engineering the brain, actually studying it and perhaps building neural simulations of variations of it, or even doing full downloads, because full downloads are one of the possible ways of evading biotechnological problems that basically just become non-biological. So there's been a fantasy since at least the 1920s of building machines that can act as mechanical servants, basically, that do work around the house. And in fact, there's a great need for that kind of thing, because most of us don't have time to do the basic physical maintenance activities. The computer explosion has begun to automate almost all of our informational tasks, and that's great. But if you think about it, those are really just the paperwork, which we considered as kind of peripheral to the main stuff we did. And today we still now of course by automating the paperwork, we can making it better. We can make it more efficient